How's it going, friends? I'm November Lima, and we're going to do some graveyard shenanigans with Mardu Reanimator. Before I go through the deck, just know I have a survey in the description about what kind of content you'd like to see. A survey takes only 2 minutes, and it would really help me out to figure out kind of what direction to go with my channel, to better kind of share my passion with you guys and girls and non-binary friends to determine what you want to see. Everybody that's going to fill out a survey will enter to win a pre-constructed commander deck that I'm going to give away by the end of June. So if you are interested in getting in Commander, which is an awesome paper format, this is a great way to try and get included and get that Prismari pre-constructed deck that has just come out. Really neat deck, and I'm sure that you'll enjoy it. Even if you are already playing Commander, new precons are always fun to play with. So, that's the intro for that. Let's get into the actual deck here. So, obviously, here we got Velomachus Lorehold, which is a 7-mana creature. So, we're going to try to cheat that in for cheaper. How do we do that? So, we've got ways to discard. Now, let's just go and then ways to bring that back. So, Velomachus Lorehold, for those of you not familiar with the card, is one of the coolest cards that came out in the set of Strixhaven. Velomachus Lorehold has Flying, Vigilance, and Haste, which is already an awesome combination, and is a 5/5. When it attacks, you look at the top 7 cards of your library, and you may cast an instant or sorcery with the mana value less than or equal to this creature's power, without paying a mana cost, which is really cool. So, we've got way to discard it and bring it back. So I'll go through the whole deck, and then you'll kind of see what I mean here. So first off, we got some cheap removal to buy some time. Seasoned Hallowblade I have in here as A, it puts a lot of pressure on the opponent, and also it's a great way to discard cards in my hand. So if I have a Velomachus in hand, I can discard it with Seasoned Hallowblade. Nullpriest of Oblivion is one of the cards that can bring back one of my creatures. It's a little expensive, it'll be 6 mana total, but then you cast the Nullpriest and whatever is in my graveyard. 2 Thrill of Possibility, another way to get rid of the more expensive cards in my hand, and it gets to draw me some cards. And then I have 1 Vanishing Verse as a one-off, just to, again, exile a mono-colored permanent that I need to get off the field to buy me more time. 4 Bonecrusher Giants, because if you play red, you should play Bonecrusher Giant. 2 Agadeem's Awakening, so this is that kind of land/reanimator spell. 2 Baleful Mastery as additional removal. 2 Rankles, again, a great way to discard cards. I can also sacrifice, my opponent has to sacrifice a creature, I could sacrifice a creature and potentially bring it back. Illuminate History is also a great way to discard and draw, and then if I have 7 or more cards in my graveyard, I create a 3/2 creature. Something that I will no doubt get to pretty quickly, I would imagine. 2 Kenrith. Kenrith is really a 2-for-1 here, because Kenrith is a great creature to reanimate, as I can reanimate, and as long as I have a red open, I can give the creatures haste. And also, it reanimates as well. So, for 4 in black, I can put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under my own control. Then I have 1 Elspeth Conquers Death, which the third stage is to bring a creature or planeswalker back from the graveyard. 3 Cauldron's Gifts, also a way to bring back creatures. Unbreakable Bond, I have a one-off, so if I'm against an aggro deck, it might be nice to have a lifelink counter on one of the things I bring back. Ox of Agonas, this kind of brings itself back from the graveyard if I need to, but it's also a great way to discard my hand. Lorehold Command is one of the better sorceries at 5 mana, because it's a kind of a pocket knife. You have those 4 options of creating a 3/2 creature, giving my creatures indestructible and haste, dealing 3 damage to any target and gaining 3 life, or sacrificing a permanent to draw 2 cards. That's kind of a great tool because you get to pick 2, and there's always good ways to utilize that. And that's a great free cast off of Velomachus. Now, the cool thing here, like, you would probably think, like, hey, that's a lot of spells here to bring stuff back, or to discard, or to exile. If I have multiple creatures in the graveyard and I bring back Velomachus and it attacks, and I get, like, either a Cauldron's Gift or an Unbreakable Bond that I can cast for free, then I can put another creature on the board. So that's where I get the extra value. From a land standpoint, I run all the pathways, all the triomes, 2 Fabled Passages, 4 basics, and 1 Temple of Triumph. And the Agadeem's Awakening can be a little bit of both. As for the sideboard, I got 3 Duress to combat the control decks, 2 Flamescroll Celebrants that I really have in here for Revel and Silence. Revel and Silence is my way to shut down the Emergent Ultimatum. I was struggling there what I wanted to say. I wanted to say Sultai Ultimatum and Emergent at the same time. And then Roiling Vortex for the same reason. Soul Guide Lantern as my way to attack the opponent's graveyard. 2 Ridanes against the Snow aggro decks. And then the Shadow Verdicts for the same reason against the aggro decks, which is also a free cast with Velomachus Lorehold. Downside here is that I also exile creatures from my own graveyard, but sometimes you just have to. And then 2 Massacre Worms, which I might bring in against the aggro decks as well, as a sweeper, and it's a great reanimate target as well. So that's the deck. Before I go into the gameplay, I just want to say that this is a deck that's mainly for fun. I think it can win some matches for sure on the ranked ladder. I don't think you want to run into rogues. That's one matchup that I'm kind of afraid of. So fingers crossed we don't run into rogues, and then we should be in pretty good shape. All right, we're going against Hagira, or however you pronounce it. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. They play Luris. Oh, I'm going to laugh as if this is a rogues deck. Play first. That looks good. I have the Velomachus in hand to discard. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine, like, if my opponent is rogues, that's going to prove my theory whether or not my hand or my deck is bad against rogues. Well, I guess we'll find out. I'll play that for black, for the Agadeem's Awakening, potentially. Oh my goodness, it's rogues. Well, they already put a Velomachus in the graveyard for me. Okay. Well, they're going to have a hard time dealing with that, so that's good. Okay. But reanimating is going to be difficult because of the counters. Let's go ahead and try to stomp this. Let's go ahead and put this out. Do I try to stomp this, or do I just put out another Seasoned Hallowblade? I think I try to stomp it first. No, let's see what they do. Let's swing with the Seasoned Hallowblade. Wing. They don't block. If they don't block, then I think I'm just going to go ahead and play out the other Seasoned Hallowblade. And it resolved. Nice. Okay, there's another Thieves Guild. Mill me like crazy. Woo! 2 Oxes in the bin. Oh, I wish I would have put that for red. That's sad. If I get an untapped red, and they mill me some more, I'll be in pretty good shape. Like, I know I kind of want to keep Velomachus in the bin here, but against rogues, it might be worth it to try to keep my graveyard somewhat empty. They don't attack. There's the Nullpriest. So I have a way to bring back creatures. I'm going to go ahead and swing with both the Seasoned Hallowblades. See what they do. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. They kind of have to block. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do this. Exile the other Velomachus. Give it indestructible. I wonder if they have Cling. So I feel like if they see me putting Velomachus in the bin and the Oxes, they probably know I'm some kind of reanimator deck. Okay. They've got something. Otherwise, they wouldn't hold priority like that. Look at my graveyard. Okay, that's 1 Thieves Guild down. That's pretty good. Do I just play out? No, I think I'm going to hold on to what I have there. Not in a rush. Right now, I'm doing pretty good. What are you going to do? Okay, so we got the Illuminate, which is fine. I'll go ahead and discard Baleful Mastery. And I'm going to go ahead and stomp Thieves Guild Enforcer. Resolve. Alright, now I'm in pretty good shape, actually. Their board's empty. I've got 6 power on the board. And next turn, I can bring back Ox of Agonas if I'd want to. Bringing back Ox of Agonas would put Velomachus, 2 of my Velomachus in exile, which is kind of not cool, so I don't know if I want to do that yet. Okay. Let's go ahead and swing. Okay, that resolves. Or not resolves, but that goes pretty good. Let's go ahead and play the Bonecrusher. If that gets countered, then at least I can bring back one of the Oxes next turn if I want to. I don't think I want to play the land yet because I want to have cards to discard to keep the Seasoned Hallowblades on the board. Figured, that's fine. Rather them use their counters on my creatures than on my Reanimator spells. What else? Wonder if we're gonna keep trying to destroy. Taking out my Nullpriest is kind of a bummer, but I'm gonna do it. Right now I'm putting so much pressure on that I really don't want to give that up. And I can actually play the Ox next turn and keep Velomachus in the graveyard, which that is super sweet. Okay, there's a land. Let's go ahead and play the Ox. Keep Velomachus in. 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm back. Ox of Agonas. Sweet. Discard the lands. I probably should have played out the land, but there's another land, so that's all good. Let's go ahead and swing for 6. Play out a red. I feel like if I play this out, there's no way they're not going to concede. No, I'll hold on to it. I want to have cards to discard. I'd rather make sure that Seasoned Hallowblades can't die. They do have a lot of cards in hand, so they must have some tricks. If anything, they can put jump blockers out. 3 cards in the bin. There's the crab. Okay. Kind of flooding a little bit. Go ahead and swing. So if they target my Hallowblades now, I'll have to tap them. So I'll go ahead and tap this. Get rid of that. It's fine. Okay. They have another removal spell. Either that or a creature. There's a creature. I mean, they have to block. There we go. That's fine. Play this out. Probably should have held on to that other land, but that's fine. I think I'm in a pretty good spot. They have 4 cards in hand still. If I've learned one thing against rogues is that the game is not over until it's over, but we're going to game 2. Okay, this is the one matchup I'm really afraid of. Just putting that out there. What do I want to bring in against them? I think Duress is pretty good to bring in. Maybe a Shadow's Verdict? That hurts me too. It really wrecks them, so let's go ahead and bring in Shadow's Verdict. Massacre Worm, I don't see that resolving in any way, shape, or form. So I think that's pretty much it. Soul Guide Lantern is probably pretty good too. So what do we cut? Let's go ahead and cut. I don't think I really need to mill. Elspeth Conquers Death only hits their Lurus. There's a good chance I'll have a 3-2 on the board if I play that. They have a lot of flyers, so my Rankle probably doesn't even get through. So let's get rid of Rankle. What else? So, I have the Nullpriest. Cauldron's Gift. Breakable. Maybe 3 is too much. Let's go to 2. It's got one of you. And then what else? They also play a lot of creatures, so maybe it doesn't make sense to run all 3, but also don't really want to get rid of the Bloodchief's Thirst. This doesn't have a lot of targets, because some of their stuff is multicolored. It can hit the Thieves Guild Enforcer, it can hit the Rune Crab, it can hit the Merfolk. So really, it does hit most of their creatures. I'll probably hold on to it. What are the other 2 cuts? I don't want them drawing cards. Let's get rid of the Baleful Mastery. Because the Baleful Mastery, I don't really want to have to cast for 4. Most decks I play against, I don't mind doing the trade-off of taking out one of their creatures if that means that I am giving them a card. That's typically a good payoff. But if it's against rogues, I definitely don't want them drawing cards. I thought I took long sideboarding. My opponent's taking longer. Rogues is really one of those decks that benefits from playing against meta decks, because that's what it's tuned at. And even though my deck is, in my opinion, not strong against rogues, they probably struggle to figure out how to play against it. I mean, if I go 2-0 against rogues, I really should redact what I said earlier. This is a 1-land hand, so that's an easy mulligan. Which is kind of a bummer, because Seasoned Hallowblade really carried me in the previous game. Which I would imagine that they probably have the, what's it called? Culling of Fear or something. There's a card that gives all opponent's creatures -3/-3. Or all non-tribal creatures -3/-3. That's a good way to get rid of Seasoned Hallowblade. So that's mulligan. That's a decent hand, actually. Keep. I'll go ahead and put back the Lorehold Command. So right now I'm going to keep the red. Hopefully I'll draw some lands. Nullpriest will probably just play out as a creature to gain me some life, even though I'm sure it will die quickly. Ox in hand is a bummer. I'll probably discard that. Probably start off with that, actually. Discard the Ox and draw 2 cards. A little too many Reanimators and no ways to get rid of creatures except for the Ox of Agonas. So let's go ahead and pass the turn. Wow, okay. So we'll go ahead and do this. Get rid of the Ox. Draw some cards. Really was hoping for some lands. No such luck. We do have the Shadow's Verdict. Putting lures in hand. Wow, okay. Since I don't really have anything to do and I'm not drawing lands, I'll go ahead and put the Nullpriest on. I have plenty of other Reanimators. Let's just get a creature on the board. If they play Lurus, I can just kill it. I wonder if my opponent kept a hand they shouldn't have. I mean, granted, so far I'm not drawing lands, so that's kind of a bummer too. Hey. Let's go ahead and swing, see what they do. Nice. Let's go ahead and play this for black. And I think I'm going to hold on to Bonecrusher. Kind of want to hold on to it for the Lurus. Or if they play some other threat. Wow, they don't have any of their flash creatures. That's wild to me. They're going to be the Rune Crab? No. What is going on? Do I just shock him? I think I do. Go ahead and shock him. Or stomp him, crush him, what it's called. Nice. That's what I hoped for. Let's go ahead and attack. So now I think first I keep playing out my threats. Because I don't have 7 cards in the graveyard yet, and I'd rather have this for full value, where I get my 3/2 Spirit. Okay, so that shocks him again. Bonecrusher gets exiled, which is kind of a bummer. I wonder if they boarded that in because I have recursion. I don't know if they actually saw that I have recursion. They have a creature! And they play out Luras. Wow. So we're going to go ahead and take out Luras, if we can. They do not have a counter. Swing with Nullpriest. They should not have kept the hand they did. Did they mulligan? I don't remember if they mulliganed or not. Yep, go ahead and mill me another Ox. Wow. Let's see what they do have in hand. I'm curious. What you got going on? Into the Story for 6 mana. Wow. Okay, now they do have some cool stuff. I think I get rid of the Agadeem's Awakening. That really doesn't give them very much to deal with. I have 5 in the graveyard. You know, I really wanted to show some reanimation, but right now it's just a beatdown. So I wonder if I should play Orzhov aggro instead, or Mardu aggro. I'm curious what my opponent's going to do. Okay, so they drew the Thieves Guild, and they have the Soaring Thought Thief, so now it's going to be a little bit more interesting. I have a Bonecrusher in the graveyard. Now I have 2 Velomachus in the graveyard. Nice. And a Kenrith. Okay, we're going to be able to do some... Hey, my land. Okay, so we really just need a land in order to... That's probably going to get countered. I feel like I should try it. Let's go ahead and try it. If they counter it, that's one less counter they have. They let it resolve. Nice. Let's go ahead and put back that and that and that. So I'll keep the Shadow's Verdict and the Unbreakable Bond. Is that 3 cards? Boom, boom, boom. And there's a land. That's what I hoped for. Go ahead and play out a white because we don't have it yet. And if I attack with this, it'll get blocked at both of these, and I can potentially kill the Thieves Guild Enforcer. So I think that's still worth it. And next turn, hopefully, we can do some reanimation. Even though I think it's going to get countered. But there's only one way to find out. I might go for the Shadow's Verdicts first to... I wasn't paying attention. I might go for the Shadow's Verdict first to get one of the counters out of the way. Okay, so we're definitely blocking the Thieves Guild Enforcer here, if we can. Oh, come on. Interesting. I'm willing to give that up. Let's go ahead and play this for black. Let's go ahead and play you out first, because I feel like you're going to get countered. How much do I have in my graveyard? A lot. So let's play the... Well, I don't want to play the Ox of Agonas. I want to play you first. You didn't counter it. Interesting. Still have other reanimators in my deck, so I could... What else do I have? I have one more Shadow's Verdict. I have another Nullpriest. And one more Cauldron's Gift. Okay, so maybe I need to not get rid of my Unbreakable Bond yet. So let's just go ahead and pass the turn. So I have 29 cards in graveyard, so I'm not really in trouble. They are giving up some life. That's impressive. That was risky. Wow, okay. They must feel pretty good about what's in their hand. Well, I guess not, otherwise you wouldn't do the castle. Okay. Keeping one blocker back. There we go. Do that. That's fine. And then I think we're just going to go ahead and... This is going to get countered for sure. So I still get to play out a land, so let's do that first. Let's do this. So I have my 2 reds open. And try to do the Velomachus Lorehold. Probably should have done that so I could still attack with it, but pretty sure it's going to get countered. Okay, there's a Disdainful Stroke. That's what I meant with why I thought that this matchup was going to be bad, because I don't think any of those is going to resolve. So I think at this point I will just play the Ox. So we'll probably get countered too, but that's okay. It's not nearly as bad. There we go. Try to not exile any creatures. Another Disdainful Stroke. Okay. Alrighty. Dead weight. Painful. Another Thief. And they do still have to drown in the lock, so I'm probably going to bait that with the Shadow's Verdict. Or I baited with the Ox and then I pop off with the Shadow's Verdict. That actually makes more sense. If they let it resolve, that's fine too, because I draw 3 cards. 21 cards in my deck. They're down to 4 lands. I feel like they will have to counter this. There we go. Ox of Agonas. Now, obviously, this could be a counter too, but we shall see. To this. Do they have another counter? Woo! Going down to 2 life. Okay, interesting. Do I have Bonecrushers in the deck? I do have Bonecrushers in the deck. That's not it, though. I'll keep that in hand. Go and do this again. I might have to take out some of my beloved creatures here. So I can take out one more Kenrith, and we'll go ahead and take out one more Ox. If I do that, I think I should do this. Because if they Baleful Mastery the Ox, I'm in trouble. 20 cards in hand, 2 in the graveyard, my opponent down to 2 life. So, feel pretty good. And we have Nullpriests. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We can play it for the kicker cost. That's pretty funny. Are they going to counter the Nullpriest of Oblivion? Oh. Yes. We get to do the thing. We get to do the thing. Don't concede. Oh. We got to do the thing, though. And we can do it again next turn. Good game. Oh, we beat Rogues. And we got to do the thing. All Alright, so going back to the deck, as I said before, I really thought I was going to have a bad matchup against Rogues. I think my opponent got a little unlucky in what they had in hand in game 1. They didn't really know what they were playing against, and then in game 2, they kept a hand that was very, very slow. But all in all, hey, a win is a win, whether they're pretty or not. One of the big tips that I can give you if you play against a deck that runs a lot of counters, don't give them free counters. Play it. Make them have it. I think that's what I did here is, sure, I tend to play the lesser priority cards first, let them get countered first, but in the end, hey, they have to have it. If you don't know what their bottom down cards are, and if you're going to keep thinking they have counters and you don't play your spells because of it, you're going to lose. You're giving them free counters, basically. So there's only so many counters they can run, and you just got to keep casting your spells. So, yeah, this is the deck. I think it's pretty cool. I'm glad in the end I got to reanimate something. I think if I would tweak this, I would potentially go a little down on the amount of reanimators I have, make it a little bit more of a mid-range list, but overall I think this is a pretty solid base for a cool deck. So anyway, if you like my content, don't forget to like, subscribe, and like I said, don't check out that survey in my description. Fill that out, 2-minute stops. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and enjoy playing Magic.